Hello and welcome to Stress Less with me, Jess. Today, my special guest is going to be Ryan Harv. Hello, Ryan.
Hey, what's going on? Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on here. I feel like we always have such intellectual conversations when we hang out. So I'm super excited just to have you on here and talk about everything that you do, especially because I feel you have had such a different kind of journey, right? You've had such a good journey where you are, where you were. I feel when we first met, you were about to step onto this new journey. You're going, okay, I'm going to take this chance, go somewhere and do something I want to do. So I would love to tell people, well, first, you are a talent manager. So you help recruit, all that kind of fun stuff, which we'll get into. So let's get right into it. Your bio. You have been in the marketing field for 15 years and sales for 15 years. You are a jack of all trades. You're a graphic designer, networker, and managing skills. A former COO, Ryan has built a large network through the out the country in every category. Ryan is on top of the latest trends in the fast-paced recruiting world. Bottom line, if you want to see your company grow and find the right people, connect with Ryan. I finish the next sentence, I 100 agree with that sentence. If you want to see your company grow, find the right people and connect with Brian. He knows people so well. We'll definitely get into that. Your connector, husband, never a bad day. Games in any form. Go, go giver, shaking hands and building brands. Oh, I like that. Shaking hands and building brands. So
Thank you.
cute. All right, Ryan, let's get into it. So you went from graphic design, networking, you're in sales and marketing for 15 years. Tell us how you became a recruiter and a talent manager where you're at now.
Yeah, it's funny. So it's the old school classic, build the network and let them help you, right? So, I was my background is in games, so I was a designer, making video games, and I was in the game industry for many years. And I then kind of transitioned to print and design and then moved into the branding and marketing space doing like national campaigns. Times are tough and kind of was let go, sat on the bench for a little bit, and kind of had this amazing opportunity to kind of figure out where and what I want to do. So I didn't really announce it to the world very much, and I just kind of spoke with some people, and I had some opportunities appear just from who I know and people talking to other people, and kind of letting people know as a free agent, and um, one of my managers that I work with, I've known for many years, and I originally reached out to them to kind of be like, "Hey, like maybe you can find me a gig," and they were like, "Hey, maybe you come work for us." And it was never, it was never really the game plan. It obviously makes sense. A guy who's in marketing and branding for many years to be a finance and accounting recruitment, talent manager. Obvious transition. But, part of it is allowing the network that you build to kind of help you with the next steps and what your journey looks like. And, when you build the network and so many people, yeah, I was kind of doing this job, already kind of unofficially. Like when people would lose their gigs, I would like know people and I had email blasts and, connections and I would put them out there and vice versa. When companies were looking for people, I would put it out there and maybe find some people. So I was kind of already connecting people with jobs. So it kind of just made sense to have, the structure and the systems and the processes and the constant training that Robert Half brings to the table. So I couldn't be happier. So.
So cool. I think you really, in so many ways in that story, showcase the importance of networking. But tell me if you agree with this. I feel like networking gets a bad rep because I feel a lot of times people want that instant result,
Well,
or they feel like they're just being sold to, or they feel like they're
yeah,
being too selly. I think there's so many different reasons why networking gets a bad rep. Can you explain for listeners that are not in the networking world and
yeah,
business owners that are maybe trying to learn the best way to network, can you explain really what networking is?
yeah. So I think the first thing you have to realize is, and I say this all the time, is part of the networking world, the when it's done right and it's effective for your business and for your organization, it really goes off of low and slow, patience over greed. I mean, I've been saying that for a long time, and that's just the way it works. I mean, you have to let things grow in order to harvest the crop. I think the other side of the coin is networking still kind of, you hear networking and you think of like 1980s sales guys phone book stuff, right? Like, oh, I call at 7:30 in the morning because the gatekeeper's not in yet, and I get to talk to the COO or CEO, and I'm like, "Good afternoon, sir, madam. Did you know?" And it's like those days are gone. I mean, the cold calling world is still exists and the cold email world still exists, but like, you know, I look at it is I don't need to make those cold calls and cold emails because I know people on each side of the coin, right? So like for me, what I'm leveraging is if I have a list of people that I'm trying to go after, right? I'm going to go through, utilize LinkedIn, utilize my email chains, my text chains that I'm friends with people in my phone with, and kind of put that out and see if I can turn stuff super cold to lukewarm just by knowing someone that knows someone, right? And I think what people get a bad rap on is that they've gone to a couple of events and there's card slingers and card flingers that are still out there that are just flinging cards and hitting their quotas that they went to so many events a week and they got so many cards in their pocket, and then the initial email is like, we should tag up. Like rates have never been lower, things have never been better. Like my emails are all the same. It's like, hey, I'd love to set up a time to chat, get to know each other a little bit better, and maybe discuss some opportunities to make introductions and see how we can help each other out.
Just
That's
such
it.
a
I mean, that's what I'm in it for. I mean, yes, I'm a sales guy, and the sales space is there, but I feel like the sale is on the back burner because it grows with the relationships that you generate. Because what happens is what I'm trying to do is create an army and a sales team that is my network. That's the goal, right? So my goal is to have 40 people that are out there selling for me all the time because of my reputation, because I'm here to help. And like, everybody here is like, oh, giving with no expectation. And it's kind of this trendy thing. But like when you really do it and you really care, it really helps people out. Like I just want to help people grow. That's it. And if I'm in a conversation with someone that could be a potential client and they're kind of like, we're kind of handling it internally, or, we're not really looking to bring anybody on right now, but I've kind of discussed like who they're looking for, I'm still going to make those introductions to that person. And like I've had it happen many times where I'm like, all right, well, I'll reach back out in a couple weeks and maybe we'll see what happens. But, in the meantime, I want to introduce you to X, Y, and Z. And they go, oh, well, thanks, but we're not going to move forward with the deal. And I go, it doesn't matter to me. Like you should know these people. They can help you grow. I can help them. They can help you. Everybody wins. Because like, if you think about it in the long term, like in the recruitment space, people are just trying to get that business and then move on to the next person. Like if I'm making introductions for people that aren't doing business with us, when that need comes up, I'm top of mind. It's just the way it works.
I think there's so many things that you said there. So one, networking isn't just cold calling, right? There's a different way for that. It's making relationships and relationships that stick. And when you actually make that relationship, you're growing, right? So it is a
Mm-hmm.
slow and steady thing for sure. But look what's happened when you've done that. You've able to, okay, so like you said, maybe the deal is not going to close, which happens to all of us. You have
Yeah.
great conversations. You're like, hey, not something we're able to connect on. That's awesome. But I know during our conversation, you mentioned X, Y, and Z. Let me give you these resources because I know and like and trust these people.
That's
So
how it
let me put
works.
them in your hand without anything in return because I know I'm, like you said, I'm helping those people out who eventually down the road might help me out. Or like you said, when that something comes up later in that business deal, maybe it doesn't work out, or later they're just like, oh, he wasn't pushy, he wasn't salesy, he
Yeah.
still wanted to meet my needs, he still listened.
I've
And
also stayed with people through jobs. So I maybe didn't get a job order from them when they were at company A, but then they moved like a year later to company B, and I have a brand new person that I don't even know who the company is, and that person's reaching out to me because their needs are needed at the new company.
you just never know how it's going to work. So I think just like you said, building that relationship because you never know if it's going to be a now thing. And I think going back to what I was saying in the beginning, a lot of times when people want the networking, they're going, well, I want that instant sale. And that's just not how things work. Like you said, now I
Yeah.
have an in this company that I didn't have an in before a year ago and actually have a legit in. It's not, he knows me by name. Like it's all of that. I think another thing with networking is the fear of walking up to someone saying,
Let's
Hi, I'm
talk about
Jess,
that. Yeah,
right?
let's talk about
I
that.
think we should definitely hit, if we're going to be talking about networking, let's do it. You're in that room. Let's just even do a luncheon. We don't even have to do the
Sure.
happy hour. Let's do a luncheon. You're going to luncheon. You don't know anybody.
Couple easy rules, right?
Tell me it
All
all.
right. So a couple easy rules, and this is the way I look at it. Now, I get, and we're on the stress podcast, so it can be very stressful. You walk in, and I've walked in where I've known zero people. All right. So let's talk about a couple different ways to leverage that. Okay. So the first one is usually what happens is it's someone invited you to an event. Okay. That's the easiest situation, right? So if I know Jess and Jess obviously knows people in the room, well, Jess, I hate to break the news, but you're babysitting me a little bit. So I'm going to walk around with you. You're going to be
Wingman,
like,
let's
hey, do
go.
you know this person? Wingman all day, right? The best case scenario. Let's say that maybe you find an industry based specific group that's having a luncheon. That's great. So, like for me, it's like there's a CFO or controller luncheon. Like I want to go to that and I want to talk to them because we partner really well with them because we're placing people in accounting and finance, right? So, like I want to go to that, but I don't know anybody in the room. So, we've got two or three options. Okay. So, the first thing I'm doing is the people behind the counter that check me in, I'm just spilling my guts to everybody, right? So if they work there, I'm telling them that this is my first time. I don't know anybody. I heard great things about your organization, and they can't wait to help me out and figure out how they can bring me in. Okay, that's one. Two is I'm looking for anybody floating around in the crowd with a badge because they're probably an ambassador or they're not behind the counter checking people in. So I'm going to sling right to them and be like, "Hey, what's going on? I don't know anybody." And they're like, "Oh my God, how'd you hear about us? Thanks for coming. Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you." Right? That's a great one. Now, if you really want to do it and you got a little bit of like cojones, right? Look for a group of like I usually say at least four, right? Three, four, five people that obviously are in a conversation that all know each other. You got to linger of like for a minute or two, and when you see that kind of beat in the conversation, just spill your guts. Hey guys, I don't mean to interrupt, but I don't really know anybody, and how you doing? And they're gonna be like, how'd you hear about us? What happened? Like, let's come on in. Like, this is Bill, this is Mary. Like, nice to meet you. So you just kind of have to go in with the intention of owning the fact that you don't know anybody instead of kind of just lingering and being at that school dance where you're up against the wall watching everybody have a good time.
I love that you pointed things out. I'm going, oh, I actually do this because I was worried you're going to start naming things. I'm going, all right, just start taking notes. But it's true. I've definitely done it where I've followed the badge
Yeah,
specifically because people want to help. People
they
love
do.
helping other people.
And
And
remember,
so
all the ambassadors are all volunteers. So they love the organization or they wouldn't want to be an ambassador.
100%. Really quick, because I want to get to the next topic. Being a talent manager and networking. I personally, knowing you, I just want to put this 2 cents out there, and you'll obviously have your point. I think that goes so hand in hand because you're able to really learn and understand people and put them in the correct job
Yeah.
that's beneficial to both the employee and the management. Because I think when you start the network, you start to really learn about people, right? You're learning about what they do, you're learning about what people really want, you're starting to learn how to listen differently. And
Yep.
so I think what makes you who you are and what you do today as a talent manager and becoming a recruiter and everything in between, I think networking has been super beneficial with that.
100%. I mean, it allows me to know what people are looking at. I mean, it's a great opportunity to casually have a conversation with people. Like I'd rather talk to them at an event, and if I get lucky and find an HR person, or I find someone that's in the accounting and finance space, and it's all about the pain points because that's really what it is right now, and it's very stressful for you if you're in the HR department or you're in the talent acquisition world right now in your company. It's just very stressful because it's like 14 weeks to get somebody in the seat. All right. From like the minute you realize like we need to hire somebody to the minute they start, it's about 3 months. But
Oh,
it's really not because that person most likely that you have to replace either quit or was fired. And there's probably about 8 weeks of them not doing their job. So now your entire division of whatever part of the organization you're in is overworked, stressed out, everybody's like losing their mind because there's so much work to get done. So I mean, that's where we come in to help, right? Is that I mean, you give me a job order. We have AI that we created internally in the system, and I go through and within 8 seconds I have 20 candidates available for your position.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
That's awesome.
it's just it's so much work because it's feast or famine that for the people that come in, and then it's also doing all the background checks and then interviewing and then all the references. So it's a stressful time to be hiring people because it's very hard to find good talent, honestly.
Oh, for sure. So you're talking about stress when it comes to networking, when it comes to, being a talent manager. And to me, what I hear is a lot of balance. So how do you feel you manage the stress with work and your day-to-day life?
Yeah, I mean, I have a superhero power called turn off, and I clock out. Um, I think now more than ever, you have to clock out, especially with the hybrid world and some people still working fully remote. Like, I think the first thing is if you're still working at your kitchen table, you need to figure out your situation. Like, you have to upgrade yourself and give yourself an office because you need somewhere to go in and then be able to physically leave that space, right? Because when you see the kitchen table, you just think of work, and now you're just like, oh, I should do those emails real quick and get them done. I think it's also important to understand that, in the life of a biz dev person, such as myself, we have a very stressful world that we live in because our job isn't easy. I don't want to say easy. It isn't as task oriented as other people's are, right? So,
Yeah.
like, when you have certain divisions of companies, you know what your day looks like every day. Like, when I wake up in the morning, I can go down 25 different routes every day. And it's like, we're all like, Captain Start No Finish, right? So like go over here and then come over there, and then you're done for the day. It's like 5:30, and you click out Outlook, and it's like you have 4 emails that you didn't send. You're like, oh my god, I didn't send those emails. You're like, so then you're back into here, right? So I'm a list guy, so that's really what helps me out. Like I have to write it all down because if I don't, then I'm kind of all over the place. There's an old technique from back in the '80s that I still use. It's the 20 on, 5 off kind of thing. And that's really helped me out. So I write down everything I'm doing. I turn the phone off. I only focus on the one thing I want for 20 minutes. And after my timer goes off, I take a 5 minute break, go get something to drink, walk around, say hi to the dog, whatever you want to do, right? And then come back and you still have to keep going. You just keep going until that task is done. And then you move on to the next thing. I mean, it really helps out because it's overwhelming the possibilities you can do, especially in my space where we've got like, I've got a client list. I've got a stack of cards that I need to talk to. I've got the inbox that's the vortex that never ends, right? We've got job postings on like Indeed. Then I've got networking calls that I want to call just to touch base with the network. And then, I have all my stuff in Salesforce and I do all my planner calls. So it's like, in order to keep it organized, you have to have like a list in it and then really utilizing your Outlook and blocking that time off and like being strict on like when you have things set in your Outlook for a 2 hour gap to do whatever to actually do it.
Yeah. I heard like discipline, accountability. There's so many other words that you used in there. We talked a lot about different things today. We talked about networking, stress of schedule, everything in between. What is the one thing you want the listeners to take away today?
Um, I think the one thing is it's okay to start at zero on all of it. I mean, honestly, and I think part of it too is if you've kind of been in the networking space for a long time and you still kind of can't figure out what's going on, the best way to start is a couple ways, right? So first thing is start small and work your way up to events, right? So like start with your town chambers and your town or associations, right? Then move into your county stuff, right? Then move into your regional and your like industry specific, and then maybe your statewide stuff, right? Because what you'll see is that if you kind of hang out in these small little chambers where there's under 300 members and they're all in the same greater area for a town, you're going to start seeing people that are in that county overlap into the county chambers. So when you walk into places, you're going to start to be able to know people, right? That's part of what we talked about earlier. The other thing is it's extremely important to create a crew and a squad. Okay. So your crew is like basically everybody that is affiliated in your transaction. So when I close a sale, there are like 7 or 8 people that can benefit from the fact that I have a new client based on what I offer and how they can assist, right? So that's easy introductions. The other one is your squad. Now your squad are people that are not affiliated with your organization at all. They can be, but really people that you've become friends with. right? That you have like a text chain with like 8 or 10 people that are just networking people that you're friends with. Those people are great opportunities to be able to use as introductions in the beginning days. So like if I'm meeting Jess for the first time and I have a small network and I want to like show her some value, like I have 5 or 6 people that are just good networkers or people that are looking to do the same thing that are easy contacts to get them out to them. And I think that's the best way to start. And it's okay to have nothing because it takes time to build it. Like we said earlier, right? Low and slow.
Oh,
Patience
it's
over greed.
I love it. So for the listener that's, taking down all these notes, what is the best way for someone to contact you? I feel like I already know the answer, but tell me the best way for them to
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn is the best way to go. So you can just see me on LinkedIn. Where's Harb? Check me out on other social media platforms. I'm on YouTube, which has a lot of my other interviews and podcast stuff. So let's connect. Let me know if I can help.
Awesome, Ryan. Before I let you go, it is time for the lightning round. Are you ready?
I am ready. Let's go.
Okay. Are you a morning or a night person?
Uh, I'm a night person.
A night person. Do you like salty or sweet things?
So
Salty. And
yeah,
do you have a bucket list?
a bucket list. Uh, Not really.
Uh,
Uh, my bucket list is more of my play games and read books in my library of games and books, I would say. So sometimes
And
it's good just to buy games and books to have them because eventually you'll be able to read them or play them at one day.
with that being said, that was my next question. What is your favorite board game?
Ooh, favorite board game. No pun intended, but I love Pandemic. It's one of my all-time favorites. So,
And what last one, what never fails to make you laugh?
oh, Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's the best show of all time.
Oh my goodness. Ryan, I can't thank you enough. I know how busy you are, so I appreciate you taking the time out today.
Thanks, Jess. It's great. I really loved it.